Imagine a time without books, when we couldn't navigate with maps, defend ourselves with weapons, or write because there was no paper. Hard to picture, isn't it? Some inventions have changed the course of the world profoundly. The compass, the printing press, gunpowder, and paper. These four discoveries reshaped human life. These inventions revolutionized knowledge, exploration, and power, connecting distant lands and ideas like never before. In this video, we'll take a closer look at these four groundbreaking inventions and see how they helped shape the modern world. The compass is a magnetic instrument used for finding direction and navigation. It features a compass rose that indicates the four cardinal directions: north, south, east, and west. Angle measurements are made clockwise, with north considered as 0 degrees. Before the invention of the compass, orientation was determined through observations of the sky, landmarks, bird flight paths, and the patterns of wind and sea. The compass contributed to safer navigation, especially in foggy or cloudy weather, and promoted the growth of maritime trade. It also played a decisive role in the emergence of the Age of Exploration. The compass was first used in China during the Han Dynasty, 206 BC to 220 AD, by those who had discovered magnetism, primarily for divination and feng shui, a Chinese art of arranging living spaces. These early compasses, made from naturally magnetized stones, were designed to determine direction and to position buildings harmoniously. During the Song Dynasty, 960 to 1279, the compass began to be used for both land and sea navigation. Between 1040 and 1044, soldiers employed the compass for land navigation, and between 1111 and 1117, Zhu Yu's work recorded the use of the compass in maritime navigation. Early compasses were typically floating magnetic needles on water or dry needles mounted on a pivot. The compass was first described in writing in Europe in 1190 by Alexander Neckham, and it was recorded in the Muslim world in 1232. It is believed that the compass reached Europe from China through Arabs or Crusaders. At the end of the 13th century, the Yemeni Sultan and astronomer Al-Malik al-Ashraf described the compass as a tool for finding the direction of Mecca, Qibla. In his work on astrolabes and sundials, he also explained the construction of the compass bowl. This text is considered the earliest example of the compass being mentioned in a scientific work in the Islamic world and used as a Qibla indicator. However, Al-Ashraf noted that he was not the first to use this method. During the Yuan dynasty, the compass began to be used systematically in maritime navigation. Zhou Daguan recorded detailed observations of using the compass to find direction during his journey to Cambodia in 1296. During the Ming dynasty, compass designs diversified. Both dry pivot needles and water-filled compasses remained in use for a long time. In the 16th century, compass technology spread to China and Europe through Japanese pirates. Although the Chinese understood magnetic retention and induction, the scientific explanation of magnetism was not achieved until the English scientist William Gilbert published De Magnete in 1600. In the 20th century, compasses were replaced by modern liquid-filled magnetic compasses. The compass revolution not only increased safety in navigation, but also made long-distance voyages possible and accelerated the age of exploration in Europe. Initially used as a small aid for land and sea travel, the compass gradually became an indispensable tool for maritime trade and exploration. In the 15th century, the use of the compass became widespread in the Mediterranean and Atlantic seas. Portuguese and Spanish explorers were able to navigate the coasts of Africa, ports in Asia, and the shores of the Americas more accurately and safely thanks to the compass. It improved the accuracy of nautical maps and became the foundation for route planning on long-distance voyages. The compass not only made navigation easier, but also enabled the economic strengthening of port cities, the growth of maritime trade, and the opening of new sea routes. Scientific advancements and improvements in compass design made long-distance sea voyages safer, and the compass emerged as a critical tool in European states' strategies for colonization, global trade, and cultural exchange. The compass went down in history as a revolutionary invention that laid the foundation for modern navigation and the age of exploration. Chronological timeline of the compass. The printing press is a mechanical device that applies pressure to an inked surface to transfer text or images onto paper or similar materials. It speeds up the process compared to manual printing methods. The spread of the printing press during the Renaissance enabled information and ideas to reach wider audiences, supporting the Reformation and the rise of literacy. It also contributed to the strengthening of the middle class and the development of European languages. The history of printing is often traced back to Gutenberg, but its origins go much further, to the Far East. The Chinese had been recording documents by stamping seals as early as the 13th century BC. In AD 593, printing began in the first press established using woodblock carving techniques. The first newspaper, printed in Beijing around AD 700, and the Diamond Sutra, published in 868, went down in history as the oldest known printed book. In the 8th century, Buddhist texts were printed in Japan. In 1040, the Chinese inventor Bi Sheng experimented with printing using individually cast movable type characters. In Korea, Jikji, printed in 1377, was published 78 years before Gutenberg's Bible and is recognized as the world's oldest book printed with movable metal type. The printing press gradually spread westward. Findings from the Dunhuang caves show that the Uyghurs had adopted Chinese printing techniques by the 9th century. On the other hand, it is known that in Egypt, printing on fabric using woodblock templates had been practiced since the 4th century. In the Arab world, block printing techniques were developed in the 9th and 10th centuries for printing prayers. The materials used were not limited to wood, but also included clay and various metals such as copper and tin. These prints generally remained confined to the Islamic world. Over time, printing began to be transferred onto paper, as in China, and was used to reproduce passages from the Quran and Hadith. This greatly accelerated the production and copying of texts, making the spread of knowledge much easier. In the 15th century, printers in Europe commonly used wooden blocks for book printing. This method preceded metal type printing and was ideal for producing images. European printing began by adopting the woodblock technique from the Islamic world. In the 15th century, the Netherlands became an important center of printing. In Haarlem, around 1430, Laurens Janszoon Koster is believed to have experimented with printing using individual letters. However, the true revolution came in 1450 when Johannes Gutenberg, in Mainz, Germany, invented the movable metal type printing technique. In 1455, Gutenberg printed the Bible, which achieved great success due to its high quality and affordable cost. This technique laid the foundation for modern printing and the printing machines that evolved during the Industrial Revolution. The printing press reached England a bit later, in 1476. By 1500, there were only 5 printing houses in the country, and writing materials and paper were imported from Europe for a long time. Although King Richard III restricted foreign book trade to protect domestic production, Kings Henry VI and VII lifted these bans. By the 1530s, 2/3 of those involved in the book trade in England were foreigners. The printing revolution, fueled by the widespread adoption of the press, enabled the rapid circulation of knowledge and ideas within societies, becoming a powerful tool for change. Initially, the demand for the Bible and religious texts was the main driving force behind the rapid spread of printing. Soon, newspapers, pamphlets, and bulletins played a critical role in disseminating ideas during major social movements such as the English Civil War and the American and French Revolutions. However, the advent of the printing press also brought issues of censorship and freedom of the press to the forefront. Printing activities, which began in Mainz, Germany in the 15th century, reached millions of copies across Europe in less than 4 centuries. The speed and low cost of typographic printing quickly spread printing presses to around 270 cities in Central, Western, and Eastern Europe. The printing press not only increased book production, but also fundamentally transformed the circulation of knowledge and ideas. Thanks to academic journals, scientists could quickly share their discoveries, laying the groundwork for the scientific revolution. The printing press was a critical step in the democratization of knowledge. Classical works were reprinted and made widely accessible across Europe, contributing to the decline of Latin, the rise of vernacular languages, the strengthening of national identities, and increased commercial confidence in the economy. The printing press went down in history as a revolution that laid the foundation for the modern knowledge society. Gunpowder is one of the earliest technologies used to store, transport, and release energy. Its role as a cornerstone in the use of explosive power and the development of warfare technology marks one of the most significant turning points in human history. Gunpowder was discovered in China during the first millennium CE by alchemists. Initially, the purpose was not warfare. The alchemists were conducting experiments on elixirs of immortality and the transformation of matter. In these experiments, substances such as sulfur, saltpeter, and charcoal were used, and by chance, powerful combustible mixtures were produced. The earliest gunpowder recipes were recorded in China during the Tang Dynasty, 9th century. At the time, this mixture was called huoyao, literally fire medicine. The 1044 military manual Wujing Zongyao described in detail how to prepare gunpowder and how to use early weapons. Some of the weapons fired by gunpowder had imaginative names: flying firebrands, velvet fireballs, and firebirds, among others. But most proved either too heavy or ineffective and were soon abandoned. The significance of gunpowder in this early period marks the transition from alchemical experiments to military technology, emerging as a product of China's military innovation and chemical knowledge. Gunpowder made its debut on the stage of history. Gunpowder reached the Muslim world after the 1240s. During this period, it began to be used in rockets, fireworks, fire lances, incendiary bombs, and torpedoes. The first systematic methods for refining saltpeter and preparing gunpowder were recorded by the renowned scholar Al-Ramma. Thus, gunpowder evolved from being a mere accidental combustible mixture into a controllable military technology. Gunpowder reached Europe either through the Middle East or directly from China during the Mongol invasions. By the late 14th century, European and Ottoman cannons had evolved from their Chinese counterparts, becoming larger and capable of demolishing fortifications. In Europe, the use of gunpowder expanded to include cannons, hand grenades, and firearms, leading to radical transformations in military strategy. In Europe, the use of gunpowder proved effective in the destruction of castles and city defenses. It also became widespread in naval warfare, equipping ships with artillery. In 16th century Japan, gunpowder was introduced by Portuguese traders and began to be used by samurai armies. During this period, gunpowder solidified its role as a critical tool in military technology. Gunpowder began to be used as an explosive in industry and mining. In the 19th century, black powder was gradually replaced by more powerful and controllable explosives. For example, dynamite and nitroglycerin were developed as new energy carriers that overcame the limitations of gunpowder. These advancements transformed the role of gunpowder in both civilian and military applications. Today, gunpowder is still used in certain weapon systems and fireworks. However, modern military ammunition and explosives now rely on compounds that are more powerful and safer than gunpowder. Advances in chemistry and technology have largely replaced gunpowder with modern demolition systems and rocket propellants. The gunpowder revolution expanded humanity's understanding of energy storage and the use of explosive force, leaving its mark on history as a discovery that transformed both military technology and scientific research. Paper is a thin, non-woven material, traditionally made from a combination of ground plant and textile fibers. The word paper is etymologically derived from papyrus, the ancient Greek name for the cypress papyrus plant. Papyrus is a thick, paper-like material made from the pith of the cypress papyrus plant and was used for writing in ancient Egypt and other Mediterranean societies long before the invention of paper in China. Paper was first developed in China in 105 CE during the Han Dynasty by a court official named Kai Lun. He mixed mulberry bark, old rags, fishing nets, and hemp fibers with water to create a pulp, then pressed and dried the mixture to produce the first sheets of paper. This invention offered a far more practical medium for writing than earlier materials such as stone, clay tablets, or parchment. After its invention in China, paper was used exclusively in East Asia for a long time. However, in the 8th century, following the Battle of Talas in 751, Chinese prisoners of war taught the art of paper-making to the Arabs, which led to the spread of this knowledge westward. The Arabs quickly improved the technique and organized paper production systematically. The first major paper production center was established in Samarkand, and from there, paper making spread to major cities such as Baghdad, Damascus, and Cairo. This development greatly contributed to the advancement of knowledge and science in the Islamic world. The Arabs regarded paper not only as a writing material, but also as a powerful means of spreading knowledge. During this period, libraries were founded, translation activities flourished, and scientific works became much easier to reproduce thanks to paper. Al-Andalus, Islamic Spain, located at the western edge of the Islamic world, served as a bridge for the transmission of this knowledge to Europe. After the Arabs conquered Spain, they established a highly advanced civilization there in the fields of science, art, and craftsmanship. By the 10th century, the first paper workshops had been founded in major cultural centers of Al-Andalus, such as Córdoba, Toledo, and Granada. The paper produced in these workshops gradually began to be exported to other parts of Europe. The translation schools of Toledo, in particular, played a major role in translating Arabic works into Latin, and many of these texts were written on paper. In this way, both a scientific and cultural awakening began to take place across Europe. The knowledge of papermaking spread from Spain to southern France and then to Italy. In the 13th century, a major paper production center was established in Fabriano, Italy, where water-powered mills were used, significantly accelerating paper production in Europe. In the following centuries, paper mills were also founded in Germany, France, and England, spreading production throughout the continent. The process through which paper spread to Europe via Spain represented not only the adoption of a new writing material, but also the democratization of knowledge. When combined with the invention of the printing press, paper became one of the most important instruments that paved the way for the Renaissance and the Reformation in Europe. If seeing how these four great inventions changed the course of human history has inspired you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the Historical Atmosphere channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. So, which invention or discovery shall we explore next? Perhaps we'll uncover a lesser-known revolution in the history of science and technology, or trace the legacy of an invention that has completely transformed our daily lives, yet often goes unnoticed. Because every invention leaves behind a story of humanity's progress, and every discovery leaves an invisible yet powerful impact. Sometimes quiet, sometimes groundbreaking, but always a reminder of creativity, knowledge, and the enduring human drive to push the boundaries of possibility.